the innovations we bring to millions of users across India. To kick off this event, it's my absolute honor to welcome our distinguished guests for a fireside chat on the future of AI in everyday life. Welcoming Mr. Vijay Shekhar Sharma, founder and CEO Paytm, and Aravind Srinivas, CEO and co-founder Perplexity AI. Over to you, Vijay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So, I think we'll right away dive in. We took some time to do broadcast on two different platforms, and what I'm seeking is that we will be able to discover something new for our Indian customers, Perplexity Indian customers. Let's, without any further delay, hear it from Aravind. Aravind, talk us about Perplexity India. What are we going to do here?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Firstly, thank you everyone for dialing in this morning. So I'm very excited to work together with Vijay and Paytm. They're very forward-minded and are really trying to bring the power of AI, the most advanced AIs, with cutting-edge search capabilities to crores of Indians without them having to pay anything. I think the second part is very important because knowledge is supposed to be universally accessible, democratized to everyone, and obviously it's pretty difficult to afford access to the best AIs. They're all behind paywalls, or if you're on the free version, it's kind of difficult to get the best quality and service all the time. So Paytm app is directly integrating Perplexity as a button on the app. At the bottom, you would see it as an Ask AI button, and then you'll be able to ask whatever you want. Now, the immediate question, I'm sure in a lot of people's minds, is like, why is this payments app? What's the connection between a payments app and an AI button? Like, why would I do that? I think like the whole concept of a well-packaged, well-integrated app that does multiple different things is more popular outside the Western world, actually. And the whole concept of super apps and stuff. So I think like people can experience and discover so many different features within one app, and people like that more outside USA. And I hope like people in India like that. And they can explore topics in whatever language they want, and especially when you're about to buy something, you could even go and ask like, is this worth buying? Or you're about to pay something to somebody, you could just get the latest financial insights. Or in general, like you could just ask stuff about the market. All these things that are regularly associated with like payments. I think you can just directly ask an AI before making any decision to actually pay somebody. And I think this is going to be pretty powerful. And the most important thing for us is to democratize access to our technology to so many Indians out there. India is one of the most curious countries. Like, we're curious about so many different topics, and Perplexity is the ultimate solution to your curiosity, because your first question is just a start. You can keep asking tons of questions, and the most important thing is you can fact check what it says, even if there's no AI in the world today that makes zero mistakes. If somebody's claiming that, they're definitely lying, right? So at least the only way to give the consumer the power to trust what the AI says is to give sources. And that's one of the things we pioneered, and many other AIs out there are following that, but we're still trying to be at the cutting edge of it. And I'm very excited to work together with Vijay and Paytm to make it more accessible to all people.
Awesome. I think
like you're calling it out, Aravind, it is definitely the moment in history where we have machines able to answer. Sorry, can you repeat? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was saying
definitely
it
a
is
moment
definitely
in history
when
when
machines are able
machines are able to answer
to
and have a conversation
like a human
and skillfully.
So Arvind, you launched a deep
you launched a
reasoning.
deep
Is
reasoning.
a Paytm consumer going to
Paytm
get
consumer
anything
going to get
special
anything
beyond just a
special
normal
beyond just a
perplexity
normal
in sometime
perplexity in
soon?
some
Can
time
we
soon?
get
Can we get
to talk about
to talk about what kind
general
of
knowledge,
standard general
like
knowledge,
horizontal
like
foundation model
horizontal
answer,
foundation
and
model
how
answer,
your
and
deep
how
reasoning
your
model are
deep
different
reasoning
and what
model
are
are
they
different
giving
and
and
what are they
how
giving and
consumers
how
can use it?
consumers can
I'm
use
going
it.
to post
I'm
that,
going to
chip in
post
with the
that.
kind of questions people. Hi, can you hear me now? Okay, so I'll continue here. I think it is Aravind also. Yeah. Okay, I think we are continuing on I think on Zoom at least, because it seems like on Twitter Space there is some confusion, and I'm going to pick up from the host
The
login
host
itself,
login
so that
itself,
we can
so
talk
we
about
can
it.
talk about it.
So Arvind, if you can hear me and unmute yourself and talk about
talk about
kind of things that you believe that Perplexity will
Perplexity
be
will be
able
able to give
to its customers
its
in India.
customers in India. If
You know, the
you know
DeepSeek
the
model
DeepSeek model
differentiation,
differentiation,
and
USB, and so also things.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think we're trying to build this auto mode on Perplexity where, depending on your query, we'll automatically decide like whether the query needs a small model, or multi-step reasoning model, or something even more advanced like the deep research that we have, um, in a self-orchestrated way. And I think that's pretty difficult to do, but we're working on it. And I think that's the real long-term solution, where you gotta completely deprecate the model selector or the mode selector, and just let the user not have to worry about it, right? When let's say you're going to ask like question like what's the age of the Prime Minister of India? I don't think you need a deep seek answer, like response to this. It's a pretty easy lookup. At the same time, what if you go and ask some question like what are the latest insights from the the most recent speech or discussion between Prime Minister Modi and Elon Musk? I think you it might want to look up multiple different articles or like and give you the exact summary with like detailed takeaways, where like accuracy might be more important, and so a little more compute needs to be applied to that sort of query. So what we hope is that like there's this one mode, and then that is just directly integrated in the Ask AI button, and everybody gets access to it. That's not like that's still in the works, okay? So that's not what is there in the Paytm app today. So I'm not like over promising anything today. But I'm saying that like long term, that's kind of how we plan to democratize access to basically everything to everybody.
Interesting. And as in, I
you
know
met
that you
Prime
met
Minister Modi in Paris, I see, and you also met him in India.
India.
Anything
Anything
that you
that
tell us
you
about
tell us
him,
about him,
especially with reference to
especially with
AI in
reference to AI in
India?
India?
Yeah, it was really a great honor to meet Prime Minister Modi at both in India. I got more time to spend with him when I was in India, and I think one thing I was definitely impressed and amazed, I should say, is his level of preparation in terms of how well aware he is with all the different AIs and the flaws and strengths and weaknesses in all of them. For example, he clearly knew what the differentiation for Perplexity is with the fact that it gives you reliable sources all the time. You don't have to second guess if it'll give you sources or not, and turn on buttons to give you sources or anything. He just knew that it'll always give you the sources. I think he also was having special insights on like, what if we could take all the ancient texts that exist in India, but not necessarily in English or not that's not been indexed by the web, uh, and take the scientific knowledge in that and figure out a way for the AIs to go draw references to that and what exists in modern scientific literature. and show the world like a lot of the things that we used to follow through our ancient texts kind of got it right. And similar to how the world looks upon India with deep reverence and respect for being the inventors of zero, famous mathematicians like Aryabhatta, I think that's the kind of like stuff he was getting at, and he was also pretty interested in seeing how AIs can figure out like smarter ways to do things. Just like we had Vedic maths. I think he was pretty interested in seeing if, like AIs when they're asked to solve problems, will they be able to figure out like new and interesting ways to solve them. So those were the two main takeaways for me from meeting him. He was also definitely concerned that like people might use AIs in a way where they just use it to get work done faster, but not truly curious about it. And how do we encourage people to be a lot more curious, in a natural way? And his what he was getting at was if we can make it more accessible, widely accessible, where the barrier to entry and the ramp up time to learning AIs is very minimal, which he believes the best way to do it is make it work in all Indian languages, because the ability to just ask a question comes very naturally to anyone in their mother tongue. But then, like when you go and have to use modern tools, you kind of have to learn how to prompt in English, and like that obviously like stops multiple people from using these. So if you can just ask in your own language, mother tongue, in just voice, I think the ability to just use these AIs comes more naturally to a lot more people at a much younger age, and that could help India to like really adopt AI in a way where it's like not just meant for cheating at work to get work done faster or something, but just truly meaningful.
That brings me to one of the biggest questions we in India are talking these days, based on local knowledge of different literature
Which may or may not be on internet.
Is there a reason
Is there
to build a foundation
frontier model
from India?
from India?
I mean, I've voiced my opinions about this before, so I'm very consistent in what I've said already, which is I do think India should build its own foundation models. Not because it's very important to get the Indian languages right. That's absolutely essential. I would say it's table stakes, but also to have the skill set to do it, and essential to compete on the same benchmarks that everybody else competes on. It doesn't have to like literally, who do hill climbing on every benchmark, but at least be able to train really good models that can reason on their own. And that's the only way to like make sure we have the muscle to train these models ourselves, and infrastructure, the talent, and then the next generation of engineers should have something to feel inspired by, right? So that and for example, like whenever India launches a satellite at such a low cost, everybody gets inspired by those events. I think the same should be true if people are able to train world-class models that not just are good at Indian languages, but are like very good at math, coding, reasoning, and are on par with the models trained the rest of the world.
Arvind, the interesting question that we also have is that there are different open source models. So India should build it, and the training cost is reduced. Will there be a use for Indian only applications, or will it be an international application? Like India model will be used for only in India, or it will be a global thing?
I mean, sorry, can I speak on both the
Yep.
X and the Zoom thing?
Yep.
Okay. So I guess the question is, would the models developed by India be used for only India or global? I hope it's both, right? I think it's kind of like AI is, as the Prime Minister Modi already said, like he thinks AI is a pretty global technology, and that requires like models developed by each nation to be like widely useful.
Interesting. And speaking of next need
we quickly want to now talk about a little bit of demo, and then we take it from the public.
From the public. Okay, is that good?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
Hope you can hear me.
Hope you can hear me.
I'm going to show you
I'm gonna
now
show you
a demo of
a demo of what you can do with
this demo is
this
available
demo
on
is
Zoom,
available on Zoom,
sort of there, because many of you may be
in Zoom. So
it is,
in fact,
this is you probably are seeing right
probably are
now
seeing
just an
right now
icon.
just an
You will
icon.
open it
You
up,
will open it up
just like ask
just
AI
like
question,
ask AI
what you
question,
see here.
what you see here.
And today
You can ask
who is,
is
let's say, PM Modi.
PM Modi.
Obviously,
Obviously,
who is PM Modi,
who is PM Modi,
Prime Minister Modi, and what do
Modi,
you
and what do
know
you
about him?
know about him?
So
So
let's see what
let's see
perplexity
what
answers.
perplexity answers.
And it works
And
in
it
different
works
modes
in different
where
modes
you
where
can
you can
talk. So this is the kind of question answer, you're seeing it, and then you can know more about it, and so on and so forth. So it's as simple as that. And you can ask follow-up questions, upload images, sign in, etc., and continuous perplexity experience. Okay. So Aravind, we're going to take some questions now. Is that okay?
Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take some questions.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, there is an echo problem, I think. Zoom has this, because we are speaking now two places, seems like. Given the rapid
growth of AI
India,
adoption in India, how do you see
playing role in
playing role
transforming
in
how Indians
transforming
access
how Indians
information,
access
especially in
information,
regional
especially in
language?
regional language?
I think Indians are already using a lot of like AIs. It's one of the. I read a statistic. Actually, this is on Perplexity that like the knowledge workers in India particularly have adopted AIs a lot. And I think that's pretty exciting. So I hope that it's not just restricted to knowledge workers, but basically everybody. I think that's the next big shift. And and the other thing I would say is, an AI like Perplexity is not just meant for using at work. I think you can use it for anything. Like you can use it for like sports, fashion, shopping, travel, all sorts of like basic day-to-day activities. Health and fitness is another thing that applies outside work that Perplexity is particularly useful for. And so and the fact that the reasoning and stuff like works across multiple different languages means like you should be able to enjoy it in whatever language you want, and like we hope to also bring in all the voice-based experiences to everybody.
Cool. Another question, Arvind. I'll suggest people to raise hand on Twitter because it seems like we are better off here. There is some Zoom has some echo. So instead of giving further demo, I've come back to the Twitter space. Raise your hand, guys, and I'm enabling some of those guys who are asking the questions. Okay. So Suman Chakravarti, you can ask the questions. You now are allowed to speak, my friend. Hi. I've just enabled some of you to directly ask the question. Hello. Yeah. Hey, hi. Thanks, Vijay, and thanks for giving me the opportunity. I hope you are able to hear me because there are a lot of audio issues. Yeah, we can hear you. I think the running on Twitter standalone works good. Okay, awesome. I have actually two questions. So one thing is that it's a very good initiative. You're trying to build and integrate Perplexity within Paytm. My first question on this aspect is that Indians, be it in India or abroad, have a very close relationship with money. We are very, very careful. Is the data that once you integrate the data that is there, our financial habits, our expenses, or whatever, would it be safe or would it be shared with Perplexity as well? That's my first question. Well, the short answer is that obviously the question that you ask to the model goes to the model and then gets answered. that question part is okay. I'm perfectly fine for that because I'm the one who is asking it, right? So I have to give the relevant information for me to get a pertinent result, which can be used. I'm asking the historical data because now it is integrated with Paytm.
Oh, none of that data goes. None of that data. This is a perfectly independent shell transaction.
Okay.
So none of that data is in sync. Yep.
Awesome. That's very helpful. Thank you. My second question actually is mostly to Aravind. Aravind, where do you see the Perplexity AI in its, let's say, near future? What is the goal over here? Currently, it's like a search and gives good search results along with the references. I understand that. But where do you see it going? What is the area that you're trying to exploit in near future?
Yeah, okay. Thanks for asking that. So, I think like AI native search, which is like just web sources and LLM generated answers and summaries, all that's going to be, in my opinion, it's going to be a commodity. So the frontier right now is like reasoning and like getting all these models to break down harder questions into multiple parts, use like hundreds of sources, doing a lot of research on the web, and make such an AI that essentially is a research agent on whatever topic you want, kind of like close to an expert level on any topic, widely accessible. That's the hard part, the last part. And that's what we're really trying to push as far as like answering questions goes. And I think there are like the next set of challenges are going to be around like making it work on multiple different verticals with not just data from the web but also like proprietary data providers, like merchants for shopping or hotels for travel. All these are like different verticals where like even though there's a lot of links on the web, it's very difficult to know like which one's like really like trustworthy for the user, reliable enough for booking, where has items in stock, all can deliver reliably to within a few days. All that stuff is like a lot of domain knowledge that you need to incorporate into like building a great reliable agent for everybody. So that these are the challenges that we are trying to solve through our shopping or travel experiences or finance. Like we're integrating with data providers like FactSet, making sure people not just get like what's the stock price, but reliable charts. All that stuff's like something we're working on. And then obviously the buzzword agents and actions, right? Like assistants, trying to do stuff for the user, not just give you an answer, but actually do work for you. Booking an Uber or like booking a restaurant reservation, playing some songs, or preparing a playlist for you and just playing for it, doing tasks on the browser for you. We announced that we're going to be releasing a browser in a few weeks from now. So all that stuff is where like we are putting all our energy in for 2025.
Awesome. I get it now.
Thank you. I think, yeah, your question.
Hello, sir. Hi. Hi, Arvind. Hi, Vijay. Just a question on when it comes to integration of AI on a fintech app, for example. I just want to get a sense of how can we make sure or how can this evolve to sort of bring in more actionable insights? Like, for example, if I have to ask it, how can I improve my credit score, for example? How does that evolution happen from search to more sort of fintech use case?
Local data training, local nuances. This is exactly what we are going to work together and tune it towards, because credit score for US is different than credit score for India, and how does it impact in different local geographies. So in my opinion, just like payment is a very local product and country specific, so will the financial services product and AI intersection of that will be local. So yeah, keep tuned in. That's exactly what we are headed for. Today, we are trying to learn what people are asking so that we can build the product in that direction. Some of the things that you can soon expect us to launch would include AI first experiences in the app, which wouldn't have been possible if there was no model behind the scene to answer those questions.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Param, go ahead.
Hi. So right now, when we have to buy a Perplexity membership, we need a US credit card. Is there any plan to do it via Paytm itself? If I could use just Paytm UPI to purchase the Perplexity membership, and also something around purchasing power parity, where for Indians it's cheaper than the $20 price right now. Thank you.
First part, yes, soon. Second part, Arvind, what's your question for pricing for India? Any special?
I mean, definitely, we're figuring out a way to make the Pro plan widely accessible to everybody, without them having to pay $20 equivalent. I think, give us a few months or even a few weeks to figure out, because things are moving really fast. So I don't want to give you like a poor timeline here. I think like the UPI or Paytm payment, the fundamental bottleneck there is honestly, that we work around with the Stripe APIs, and I think it's pretty difficult to accept those kind of payments right now. And I hope we can figure out a solution together pretty soon.
Yep. Thank you. Ojasvi.
Thanks. Hi, Aravind. Big fan of your work, your research, as well as what you did at Perplexity. I'm Ujasvi. I've led AI at a few companies. My question to you is a bit India specific. So there are many use cases in India, things like agriculture, law, where the common man who is not really that fluent in English may have some questions, like maybe about agriculture laws or just social life and things that happen in India, maybe things like government mandates and policy changes. So that could be a great use case where Perplexity could step in, especially considering the fact that you've just integrated with Paytm.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the point of working together with Vijay and Paytm is that like, this is just the V0, the beginning of like, many more things to come, and localization and customization for not just the languages, but also like the infrastructure that is used there. And like all the use cases that uniquely exist there. We'll figure out a way to work together and build solutions together.
Great. Sankalp, we have you here.
Hi, Vijay. Hi, Aravind. Congratulations. I have two questions. One, Vijay, what does this partnership mean for, Paytm in terms of not just the product, but you've also been cutting costs. You've been using AI in a big way. So, what does this do for you in terms of costs? And for Aravind, the question is that, do you think you could, like, now that you've partnered with Paytm and Paytm is a pioneer in digital payments, do you think you could take this outside of India with Paytm, without Paytm, to get like mobile payments and digital payments using AI? Thank you.
Okay. Sankalp, you've seen us leveraging AI in optimizing cost, and that mission continues because the systems get learned newer things, and it will get continued focus on that. But this partnership is about adding AI first features that are revenue accretive, new revenue, new line items that we can do. And the one thing I'm phenomenally impressed by is that AI based products don't require large amount of human manpower and count, but higher intelligence per human sort of thing. And they're very much bottom line accretive. So we're looking at it as newer AI first features that can become profit drivers in a year or two.
Yeah, so I guess like for the question directed to me, yeah, I definitely would like to figure out a way to like, take similar models from what we're doing together with Paytm and Vijay, and take it to more places in the world. But fully mindful of the fact that like here we are uniquely India is such a massive country by itself that we are actually pretty interested in solving problems unique to India in our work together. And so like, yeah, if you want to shop, let's say, we have shopping feature on Perplexity, where you can just buy natively on Perplexity itself, and like figuring out a way for just paying through your Paytm app, and buying whatever you want. All that, and the kind of business models you can build with the merchants there would be very interesting to figure out, and take that to other payment apps outside the rest of the world.
Thank you. Ruby, I see you here.
Hello.
Yep.
Hi. Well, I'm just on my way to work and I came across this. Quick question. So I mainly use Perplexity when, when I have to make a decision and I need to like get up to speed on something really quickly. So I'm very curious how, maybe this addressed before, but how Perplexity will be integrated in Paytm. whether it's going to be, like a summarization of like information, or is it like is Paytm going to be helping with like coming up with a portfolio, advising? Is there more built into that? I'm very curious about the second part.
Subhi, you said it correctly. These are the kind of AI first features that I talked a few minutes back that you could expect us to launch features and services individually tailored. For example, like portfolio or help with your savings and help in your expenditure control, summarizing, helping. So those kind of features are the kind of features that you expect soon.
Oh, that's really exciting. Thank you.
Thank you. Venkat, I see you there. Venkat Madla.
Yeah, I'm here. Thanks, Vijay, and thanks, Aravind, for giving this space. So my quick question, something just not related, but onto the edutech side. So I would like to know what is Perplexity's plan for India, especially on the skill gap crisis and bridging between the academia and the industry. Especially when I see you run programs for ASU and other universities and I see that recently you're running for IITs and other institutions. So do you have any planned program to do it for the top colleges or students who are interested in bridging this gap of AI skills?
Yes, a big fan of you guys. My name is Akam. I'm a
Wait. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'll just take that question on the students in academia. Yeah, exactly like how you said. Similar to how we ran inter college program in the US, which was very successful for us last year. We are doing it with the IITs first. And I know like this. I read a lot of comments of like why IITs, they already have all the facilities in the world. Why do you give it to them? That's not the point exactly. Like we wanted to start with something. It's very difficult to go mass market instantly. But the goal is to understand the rollouts there and then learn from any mistakes we make there and try to bring it to everybody. So we're already working on like giving more like the next set of pushes where we're working with a student group on WhatsApp and we are aiming for like close to 1 million signups by mid-March. And our goal is to make sure that no student has to pay for the pro version of Perplexity anywhere in the world, actually. Because, like, if you put a slogan like where knowledge begins on your product, you better be serious about it, right? And then knowledge matters most to the students. And so we do want to bring it to everybody in India, whoever is a student. And you will see more announcements during the course of the year on this.
Awesome. I'm going to invite Rohan.
Hey, thanks so much, guys. Vijay, I have a question for you. And Aravind, I have one question for you also. So Vijay, I know you mentioned a couple of features that you're excited about, but is there a use case that you think people will love that they don't know yet?
Say that again. I missed this one. I was seeing the request.
No, you talked about a few features that you're excited about, like portfolio management and seeing how people are spending and saving and helping them with that. But do you think there's a use case that that you think people will love that they don't know yet?
100%. I mean, I have one feature running on my beta app. We are not just cleaning the app. We have built such a cool feature that anybody whom I show, they just feel so wow about it. So there are features. I mean, we will come back once we are ready to launch it. And we have a new app version 2 we launched. So we're going to launch hopefully with that. Yes, there are many such things. For example, like mobile first things like Uber existed or Paytm existed. They couldn't have existed on desktop internet. Similarly, there are things which are, these are incremental, portfolio, etc. are incremental. But the systems and features that you can launch without requiring humans, but giving a very shocking, surprising nuance would be very cool. Yeah, thanks for that.
Super awesome. Excited for that. Aravind, my question for you was, you're obviously integrating with Paytm and you'll surely do it with other platforms also because this solves your distribution challenge because people are not just using Perplexity as an app. They are using their own everyday emails and messages and Paytm and stuff like that. So you are where your customers are going to be. So that's awesome. Congrats for that. Do you think the AI race that you're running with OpenAI and Grok and Meta and everybody else, will it be like a winner takes all, like Google dominating the search, or will it be fragmented, you think, with each AI having its own section of a use case?
Um, I think by the way, it could be neither of the two. And that's why it's interesting. I'm not quite sure yet how the future is going to pan out. And I don't think there'll be AIs that are particularly good at like one thing, because it's not that difficult for training a next version of the model to be better at the blind spots you have. So for example, let me give you an example, right? Like um, so a Claude is the best model for coding. It's considered the best model for coding, but it's worse on the math benchmarks. But they can always make their next model better at the math and like competition math benchmarks, and OpenAI can always make their next model better at like coding benchmarks, and they end up being roughly the same. So our bet is more on the fact that the models are always going to be awesome or incrementally, but they all end up looking very similar in terms of capabilities, because there's only a few core IQ point related like benchmarks that you can measure model capability by. So the differentiation is really going to come from how you harness those reasoning and summarization and synthesis capabilities of these models for building a world-class product experience, and what kind of data you bring into the product, which data from the web, which sources from the web, what type of queries, how is the answer rendered, what type of UIs it uses, how are the answers interactive, not just generative, how are they getting personalized to the user? In case the user's question is ambiguous, how does it actually interact and elicit more information from the user? And how long does it think for harder questions? There's just a lot of entropy here, and I think every app's going to look pretty different on those dimensions. And there'll be like one or two winning apps that nail the UX completely and get distribution, a lot of distribution, and monetize it effectively too. So it's a lot of factors beyond just core model building that will matter here. And our bet has always been that like post-training and RL matters more than even pre-training, and pre-training will be a commodity. And we want to specialize more in the post-training and like UX layer.
Arvind, do you think advertising will be a monetization method, or subscription will continue to remain for AI?
I certainly think advertising will exist. Like there's this, Mark Andreessen of A16Z says one thing, which is everything that existed in the older medium will always exist in the next medium. Like advertisement has existed in radios and newspapers, and then it came to TVs, streaming, like TV show streaming. It's even there in games. So there's no reason it shouldn't be there in AI chats. It's just not clear it'll be in the same manner as like cost click based advertising. Hopefully it's not, because that's exactly the problem AI kind of solved, is to make the internet somewhat clean again, right? But I hope, like, if AIs can understand the user at a very fundamental level because of much higher bandwidth context into their intent, the advertisement can also be way more relevant and personalized, to the extent that ads actually feel useful rather than like jarring. And if that can be achieved, then definitely like we should be able to serve the relevant ads on AI products.
Awesome. Agam, take it on.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Vijay and Arvind. Big fan of your guys. And I'm a cardiologist in US and at Cleveland Clinic, and also doing masters in data science from UC Berkeley. So my question for you guys was, in terms of like, so I'm actually working on AI medicine startup, and how do you think that Perplexity is going to be integrated, you know, in terms of helping physicians, and is there anything planned or in terms of improving the search for physicians?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think health and medicine related queries are already like more, a big chunk of our daily traffic. And the funny thing is we haven't actually done anything to specialized for this vertical yet, including the UIs and like what data sources go into this and so on. So this is something that we're actually looking into. How do we make sure the sources and citations that we use for this vertical are even more high quality and can be trusted by doctors, and so they can recommend it to their patients too if they actually feel good about using it. And then how do we render the information in like much more visually useful way, especially when people are looking for something related to symptoms, worried about what's going on with them, and so on. And I think if we nail the sources and the way the answers are rendered, we should be able to increase the traffic on this vertical even more and be more useful.
Awesome. Thank you. Prasoon,
Thank
these are two journalists that I'm bringing, Arvind, probably the last few guys. So Prasoon, go ahead.
Hi, Vijay. Hi, Arvind. Thank you for this wonderful session. I want to ask, like, there's a lot of content bias on internet, especially in the political space. So how are you, Arvind, how are you addressing this challenge of biasness, and which are the geographies where you see the content are less biased and more free when it comes to the political space?
I mean, this is like a pretty difficult question to answer because I think zero bias is very hard to achieve, right? Like, because how do you even measure it? What is completely unbiased? I think the goal is to try to remove as many biases as you can and try to be as non-judgmental as you can to any question that people ask on any AI product. So one way to address the bias is in the sources you use, try to cover a diverse set of sources, retrieve as many different opinions as possible. But actually, the bigger source of biases in AI products comes from the model itself. So even though it's presented with a lot of interesting sources, it's kind of like being RLHF to be very particularly on one dimension of the political compass. And so it ends up like trying to neuter the answer a lot, or it refuses to answer questions that have to do with controversial topics, and so on. So we have tried our best to make our, at least the models we train internally at Perplexity, to be better on these dimensions, but collecting a lot of data where like people often complain that AIs are, in the intention of being harmless, they're actually not helpful. And hitting the sweet spot of helpfulness and harmlessness is very hard, but the only way to do that is like strive to at least be helpful and collect user feedback on stuff where like people complain that it's too neutral and too many refusals. And there's other kinds of biases like in censorship and stuff. Like DeepSeek was kind of like the model from China was not obviously like censored to suit the agenda of Chinese Communist Party. And that doesn't mean that model is useless, by the way. Like on pretty much anything with math or coding, it's a very good model. But when you get see the raw chain of thought of the model on like any topic that may not even be like political, but just like, oh, what happens to Nvidia stock if China invests Taiwan? Like this is a question that is worth $1 trillion of decisions today. The DeepSeek model would just like give you a very, very different answer from what is the truth. And so we thought it was important enough to uncensor it and did that. So we will keep doing more work in that direction.
Do you think that governments will send notices to AI companies that your answer is bad, this is not how you speak? I mean, I'm sure some questions have been already answered in a way they are not very palatable to different level of governments. Have you started to get those kind of requests?
We haven't gotten any such requests so far. I think different governments in different countries have like various rules related to like what is reasonable and not reasonable. So obviously, as a product that operates in different countries, like we'll have to obey the rules. But so far, we haven't gotten any requests.
How will you say that don't give this answer? Let's say somebody says this is wrong answer. Quote unquote wrong is a definition they define it. Do you think that you can ask model not to answer like those kind of answers?
I think it's not scalable to like just like I saw a recent fix on the on the Grok chatbot where they just added one specific example to the prompt to say don't do that. I don't think that's a very scalable approach. I think what you need is something where you collect a wider pattern of those same mistakes, like this whole concept called synthetic data, where you try to generate a lot of those similar kind of mistakes and teach the model on a collection of them, not just one single data point.
Cool. Sarita, yeah.
Hey Vijay, thank you. Hi Aravind. So I wondered, Perplexity is constantly launching, products and services. You're integrating DeepSeek, you're launched deep research, and now you're collaborating with Vijay on Paytm. How do you balance supply demand in terms of the backend infrastructure? I'm asking you this in the context of DeepSeek and the struggles that the company is facing, slashing yesterday or the day before slashed prices by 75% during off-peak hours to reduce demand spike. I just wonder, is the problem, and again, in the background of all of the stuff that's happening in AI infrastructure, how do you look at this?
Well, I think you just constantly have to plan ahead, and this is what like every company is doing right now. But and then it's even there have been instances when OpenAI has been down, we've been down. I think it's suddenly we deal with spikes in usage, capacity is limited, and then we try to like spin up more instances, and like try and learn from that and try to have like at least a prediction of like what is the likely queries per second that we're going to encounter, and can our backend handle that queries per second or not, and then see like plan work backwards from that. So we have an estimated QPS, and we see if we can do route the request accordingly to different API endpoints we have. And anytime like at least one API endpoint goes down, you should have some backup, and so there should be some callbacks. And obviously the latency will be worse because they'll not be able to handle the same kind of load. So then the latency and the throughput will be lower, but then that's still better than the entire system going down.
Yeah, you've seen a lot of outages, particularly with DeepSeek, but also with yours and other services. So I just wondered, whether the even predictions of QPS or whatever you're trying to do at the back end is how accurate it is. And,
It's never accurate, but I think it's good to be conservative here and try to like plan for the worst, and obviously see if it's still incorrect, we learn from the mistakes.
Thank you, Aravind.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Vartika, and if you have a question.
Sorry, I have one last question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so hey Vijay, Aravind, nice to meet you guys. So I have actually one question for both Vijay and Aravind. So Vijay, today Anthropic partnered with Amazon, and then they're sort of powering the whole Alexa movement to maybe 100 million households in US or something. So do you think Perplexity partnership is like a Paytm soundbox movement for like 100 million merchants in India? Or just your thoughts on what do you think?
Definitely. We are trying to find out what kind of questions people are asking so that we can build a little bit of voice around it. And the ultimate AI movement for India will be when commoners, as common as roadside merchant who does not use lots of technology, is able to talk to AI assistant and able to get higher productivity and questions answered in a way that typically was not possible. And that's a milestone, in my opinion. It'll take time, but it definitely will reach that.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I've got a quick question for you. So sorry, just one last question.
Sure.
Yeah, so Aravind, power Perplexity user from a business point of view as well as a user point of view. It's almost replaced my Chrome usage. But one thing I'm still struggling with is, do you think Perplexity will be able to integrate with like Siri, where you could just power Siri with Perplexity and then ask questions